Hey there, in this one we are going to be converting our Try Django 1.9 project into our Advancing the Blog project. So that means that we're going to be taking the code from our old project and putting it into a brand new project. If you've done Try Django 1.9, which of course is on our YouTube channel, so joincfv.com/YouTube, as well as our website, joincfv.com, you can actually just skip this video because really all we're doing is grabbing the original code, the final code from that video, and then just changing it over so that our project actually works with the same code, but the project itself is brand new. One thing that you would want to note is that we will have all of this code on our GitHub. So it's going to be on github.com/coding for entrepreneurs as one word, and Advancing the Blog is the name of this project. So that's where the repository is also going to be named. Of course, it's empty right now because we haven't put anything on there yet, but we definitely will very soon. And as far as the code that we're going to be building off of, that is also on our GitHub under Try Django 1.9. So that code is what we're going to be using here in just a moment. Now, to do this, it's actually required that we use the Heroku tool belt. Well, not so much the Heroku tool belt, but something that comes in with it, which is Git. So Git is a version control system, and we're going to be using that to actually allow us to grab the code by the basic commands that the Heroku tool belt actually installs, which is pretty nice. Okay, so this is going to assume a lot. It's going to assume that you also have a lot of other things installed. So if you don't have Django installed, definitely check out Try Django 1.9, and it will show you how to do that stuff. So without further ado, let's actually go ahead and copy this project, bring it onto our local computer. So we're going to open up Terminal, and I'm going to change into my desktop. In fact, I'm already in my desktop, so I'm going to go ahead and make a directory called blog, and I'm going to cd into blog. So blog is going to hold our virtual environment as well as our Django project and any other project related code that we might need. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the GitHub repository code, and I'll do git clone the repository name or the repository link and then period. So this is just going to copy everything that's on the repository and put it into our local computers folder, which is the blog folder. So it's going to download it, and we'll see all of this stuff. So what I'm going to do now is virtual env period. Again, same sort of thing. If you had the period, it will put it inside of the folder that you're working in. And the reason I'm putting a virtual environment here is because I want this virtual environment to reflect what's on that Try Django 1.9 code. I definitely want them to be the same, essentially. So we'll actually install the same requirements using a virtual environment. So now that we activate this virtual environment, I'm going to do source bin/activate. Now this blog folder is actually showing me the virtual environment that I'm working in, which is blog. And if I do pip freeze, I will see nothing's installed, right? We don't have anything on there. If you have one thing on there, it's not a big deal. But what we need to is install our requirements. So Python or pip install r-requirements.txt. And this is going to install all the requirements from that previous project, which is great. That's what we actually want. If Pillow fails for you, that's okay. We do have a guide on GitHub discussing Pillow and the Python image library, but again, we talk about that more in Try Django 1.9. Okay, so now that we've got this, let's go ahead and open this folder up by just pressing open period or navigating to the desktop, going to blog, and double-clicking on the Sublime project. So the Sublime project is related to the actual Sublime Text project, which is coming from GitHub. So we use Sublime Text as our text editor, of course. Now I'm going to change a few things here. First of all, I'm going to rename a lot of our files from Try Django 1.9 to just simply blog. So blog and workspace, rename. Okay, and then we want to do a search and replace. So Command-Shift-F will allow us to actually find and replace something inside of a specific folder. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the current folder out, and I'm going to add a new folder. And I'm going to go into blog, hit open. And here I want to change out everything Try Django 1.9 to blog. And I'll go ahead and replace. And it's going to ask you to replace 16 occurrences. Definitely replace it. Okay, so that should have changed everything in there with one exception, this folder right here. It won't change the folder, it will change everything else. So we're going to rename this folder into blog. Press enter. and hopefully everything changed. So let's actually go ahead and see. We're going to change into the source document and do python manage.py, run server, and we've got nothing named try Django 1.9 settings. So in all of these files that were opened on that search and replace, let's go ahead and save them. Oh, we can't save them because we didn't save them before we changed the file, so we're going to have to do it one more time. And inside of blog, or sorry, do that search and replace again. So Command Shift F, try Django 1.9, hit replace, and replace it again. Notice it opens these files, so we want to save each one of them that were changed, and we'll try and run the server again. This time it runs, and notice it's now using blog.settings, and if we copy the server itself, we now are on here, it's running. If we go into the admin, we do see the admin. Let's try and log in. It looks like our username's not working, so I'm going to just make a new one, python manage.py, create super user, and I'll say CFE. Learn code is the password. Oops. And the reason I'm telling you that password is so you can test the same database that we have. But of course, if you ran create super user, you could create your own too. So learn code. We log in, and there we go. We've got our posts. We've got everything from the database that came with try Django 1.9. So if we go to post itself, we see all of this stuff. Great. So that's a good start. We now have this blog on our local page, and we will actually make some changes here very, very soon. So if you have any questions on what we did here, let us know. Otherwise, let's keep going.